Hello, my name is Costa and welcome to this Tweepy tutorial. In the last week I've been playing around with it and I learned that it can be used to make some very interesting analysis, so I've decided to make a short tutorial on it. What you can expect in it is, well, first of all we'll go with the basics, so how to post tweet using Python, how to get some user related information such as the location, description, the username, the ID. Then we will figure out how to display the latest tweets based on a certain keyword. Then we will check how to display the latest trends, and this will sum up the introduction part. Afterwards, we will go into more analysis and we are going to use text blob to find out whether some tweets are positive or negative. An example, we can analyze whether CNN is actually tweeting negatively about Trump, and as we all know, Trump calls CNN fake news. But we can also take a look into Elon Musk, who we all know as well, and check how many of his tweets are actually Tesla related as opposed to some other company. So before we start, please make sure that you have Python installed and that you already have a Twitter account. Now, as you already know, the goal is to get some data out of Twitter. And of course, Twitter will not give access to the database to everyone for no reason. So the way it works is we request the access to Twitter. How we do that is we first log to our Twitter account. Then the next step is to go to dev.twitter.com. And once you're on this website, on the top right hand, you can see that there's a separate button that leads you to the Twitter apps. Now, if you have not requested this before, it's very likely that you don't have this one. So the first step would be to create an app. At this point, you have to fill in the details that Twitter asks. So it should not take a lot of time for your app to be approved. But of course, it depends on the reason why you want to have this access to the Twitter database. So for example, if you write that you need this app for learning purposes, then it is very likely that they're going to approve it. But if you're going to mention that you're going to use it for things that are against Twitter's policy, then there is definitely the case that it will not be approved. Once you have your app approved, then by the apps tab you will see, of course in this case it's a testing app, that's how I named it, you can use any name. And the next part that we'll need from this website is the details. So if you go to the keys and tokens, I will not go there right now, of course, because I should not share the tokens or the keys, and I would advise you not to do that as well. But what you're going to see in this section is there are four keys, actually 2 keys and 2 tokens that we are going to use to create our apps. So up until this point, I hope that you have both the Python installed on your PC, your Twitter account, and an app that you can use to follow this tutorial. If you don't have, then I would suggest to pause the video and then continue when you have all, because I believe that learning is much faster with doing what you're actually learning instead of just following it via a tutorial or a book or anything else. So let's continue. The first step is to install Tweepy, or if you already have it, then import it. If you don't have it, then just use pip install and install Tweepy. Again, as mentioned, there will be 2 keys and 2 tokens. So one would be the consumer token that you need to include as part of your script. And again, this allows you to use your account to connect to the Twitter database. Then you will have a consumer secret, access token, and access token secret. Again, you can find these in the Twitter developer, after you select the app, under keys and tokens. I'm not going to share them, of course, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll a bit down, and then I'm going to fill them on my other screen for a second. So after you have them, there are two lines of code that you need to include to connect to the database. Just copy or rewrite the code. You don't have to go into detail about these, what they do in the background, but it's basically authenticating or checking that the data that you put, the consumer token and the access token, are actually correct. Lastly, we have to connect to the API. After we're done with this part, we can already post our first tweet. But before that, let's set the objectives of this course as comments. So first of all, we would like to post a tweet. Then our second would be to get some user-related info. Then I would say the third one could be to display tweets based on keyword. And the fourth one could be to display trends. And then the last one would be to use text block. Alright, I'm going to comment these so we don't run them. So the first one is to post a tweet. So how do we post a tweet? Well, basically every tweet is a status that we post. So in order to do that, what we need to do is api.update status, and then in brackets what we do is we post the update that we need. So it could be anything. It could be I would say I'm making a Tweepy tutorial. I'm recording a So I'm recording a Tweepy tutorial and I will share it later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this script, and then we're also going to go to my Twitter account and see if it's up live. Oh, I should save it. So let's say it would be the Tweepy tutorial code. So we did not have the tweet, but it has run. And sure enough, here it is. So that was the first tweet. So again, if you want to share a tweet, this is basically the code that you need, api.update status, and the status that you update is basically the tweet itself. So the second objective that we have is to get some user related info. So first of all, what do we do to get the user itself? Well, we have to define what a user is. So I'm going to use my own user, so api.get user, and I'm going to say, well, this is myself. I'm going to copy the comment out what we already did, so it does not run again, so I'm not spamming the same Twitter status again and again. So what are we going to do is first we're going to get the user. So now we already know who the user is, but well, we are not going to get, if we decide to print, we're going to get all type of information. So not only the user, like the screen name, but we'll also get the ID, the location, the description, and a lot of criteria, a lot of description that we don't really need. So what we could do is we could get, for example, the location. So user dot location. We could get ID, user I. I'll do it like this. And then what we could also use is description, and then we can see well maybe I think that's enough. So at the end we would like to print the user's ID is plus user ID. It's at the description of the user is plus description plus, and the location of the user is plus the location. So what else we could do is we did not, the user is plus user, user, I would say maybe up here we could say screen name, user screen name, user screen name. I believe this is, but yeah, if we run to an error, that's great. We can also go through that. So the user is user screen name, his or let's say the ID is ID. So let's run this and let's see if we get any error. We can only concatenate strings. So part of what we have as a code is integer. Well, of course, I already know that it's the user ID, but let's take a look. If I print the screen name, if I print the location, if I print the user ID, and if I print the description, it's clear that now this is a way to check, to see it, but we can also do a print type of user ID, and we get the type itself. The type is integer in this case. If we do the print, if we print the type of the screen name, we can see that it is string. So as a solution to this problem is to actually convert the user ID to string. And if we run this, we should be fine. We should not run into any error. So the user is K. Ristovsky, the ID is, the description of the user is a curious human being interested in almost everything, but mainly finance, Python, programming, and football. Here we have two dots, because one is coming out of the description of the biography. The location of the user is Eindhoven, Netherlands. So how do we solve basically the description? Well, there are two ways. We're not going to waste a lot of time on it, but hypothetically what we could do is check if the last character of the description is a dot, and if it is, then we're going to leave this one out. If it's not, then we're going to leave this in. But again, we're not going to spend a lot of time solving this. What we could now do is get another user. So if I go here into my Twitter account and I just search for Elon Musk, so we can see that it's at Elon Musk. So if I put here instead of my user, if I put Elon Musk, if I run this task, it should work fine for him. So the user is Elon Musk. This is his ID. The description of the user is actually empty, and the location of the user is empty. Is this right? Well, let's see. If we visit Elon Musk's profile, it's always good to double check. Yes, so there is no description, there is no actual location of Elon Musk, at least according to Twitter. what if we check Trump, for example? If we check Donald Trump, it's at real Donald Trump. So if we take this part and if we include it in our code, we can't, and we get an error that we can't decode characters in some position. And this is a good error to run into, and I would say that there are two ways that we could solve this. Of course, the first one is if I just put the answer, and the second one is if we go through it and Google together. So how do you go over a specific problem? So while one thing is you could always Google. So we're not sure where it's coming from, but so just copy and paste the full problem, and let's see. So there's part in Donald Trump's profile that we can't really decode, and what basically this part is this flag. That one is raising some problems because it's not a character, it's not a code. So if we decide to drop the description, so if we go to our code and just comment the description out, and I'll just delete this one, then sure enough it will run properly. But that's not a solution. It's not a solution not to include the data that we need. So going back to Google, well, there are certain, so usually you'll get a post from Stack Overflow, and it's usually from someone that ran into the same error. I think that a good solution would be to do this Unicode escape, so to decode it. Now, this seems like a good one. So if you copy this and add it to the text, well, in this case it would be the description, so .encode. Let's see if that works. And sure it does. But what you can notice is that we get the user, we get the ID, we get the description, and then for the flag we get a different type of code. Of course, the flag itself has a different code. It's not a character, so we can't kind of translate it into words. The location we already get. So this is a good way to make sure that our script runs fine. It's good that we ran into such problem. So the next step is to display tweets based on keywords. So what do we do now? There, of course, sometimes we would like to follow a certain keyword and see what's going on with that keyword. And this is not a streamer, a listener. So what we could do is there are two ways. One is to build a stream listener, and what it does is it kind of shows the latest tweets in real time. Of course, the bad side is if it's not a keyword that is often used, then you're just stuck waiting for the latest tweet because, well, there are not many of them. But if you want to go back in time and check the latest tweets, like the latest 100 tweets based on a keyword, then that's something that definitely you can do. So how to do that? Well, first of all, let's define the keyword that we would like to search for, and let's say that it is Python. So we would like to find the latest tweets that include the word Python. So what we would say, also before you start coding, make sure that you start with the objective. So what would we like to figure out? So yes, we would like to find out the tweet, but would we want to find the tweet, the text of the tweet? Would we want to find out the location of the person who's sending it? Would we like to find out the username, the ID? So let's say that in this case we would like to display the tweet text. So what we're going to do is we're going to search the tweet, and the way you do it is api.search. Basically the query is the keyword. In this case it will be Python. We would like to have only the ones that are in English, and leave that in for now. So what we would like to do is, for every tweet in this search, we would like to get the tweet.text, but then what the text itself is, we already saw in the previous code, is that sometimes we might get some emojis maybe, or flags, or whatever it is that would cause an error. So in order to avoid that, what we need to do is to do the same code, to paste part of the same code. So tweet.text.encode, and then same code as above. Now we have the tweet text, and let's say that we would like to get the username as well. So tweet username, and that is, again, we would not expect to have an emoji there, but it is still possible, right? So in order to avoid getting an error, we could do the same. So encode, and then decode to UTF-8. Then we can just print, I will do it like this. So I'll say tweet.username using the curly brackets, and then I would like to tweet that tweet text. So let's see if this works. I'll comment this part out because we no longer need that one, and let's see if we get the latest 5 tweets. So tweet.username tweet. Oh, we have 2. Missing a bracket, that's fine. But let's see what I'm missing now. So we have 2 curly brackets here. Oh, of course, this one needs to be out. So we have the last 10 tweets that have the word Python in it, and sure enough, if we go to Twitter and if we search for Python and we get the latest, we should get, well, more or less this 40 seconds. Virginia Volchak, the Learning Academy. Back TJ, so we have, I think, the latest, but these are more or less posted in the same second. Could be at the moment that we run. Let's try it again. So now the latest one should be the one run by bitmob. Yeah, I'm curious. Then Virginia, then for some reason this one is being avoided. But it's fine because it does not contain, oh, here is Python. Oh, it searches, that's strange. That's interesting. If someone knows the reason behind it, you can leave it in the comments. I'm not sure if it's related to the code itself. So I'm going to, yeah, it's fine. Let's leave it for now. But this is how to get the latest tweets that are Python related. If we want to change this to, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm going to just say, oh, I would like to find the latest tweets for Liverpool, then sure enough I can just change the keyword and then find what some of the latest tweets are. So Liverpool is the nicest club. Well, let's see if these are the latest. Oh well, I should also search for Liverpool. That is just for testing purposes. Always when you write the code, make sure that it's working properly. So I hate Julian. That's not really. Let's see. Oh, but yeah, I already see one of the differences is that there are some retweets, and that's different. So retweets are not shown here. For example, if any of these tweets is retweeted, it will not show twice here. And that could be one of the reasons, I guess. We'll move forward to check the trends. I hope that this part is clear. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. So let's move to the next one and figure out how to display the trends. So first of all, we need to get the trend results. So the trend results is api.trends place, and then this one will be a default one as a one, and then oh, I should have commented this one out. Let me do that real quick. So if we get the trend results, we can print them, and we would see that there's a lot of information in here, but what we need is the trends. So what we will do is for trend in trend result, that's 0 trend results, and then if it contains, we saw the word trends, so the trends one, we would like to print the trend name. Let me see if this is correct. For trend in trade results 0, we need to get the trends. Yes, and then we need to print the trend name. So what we do is we get the trends and then we print the trend name. So let's see if this works. Trends results. That's a typo. So we get some trends. Let's use Twitter and see if that makes sense. So the first one would be a very random one for me, but it sure makes sense somewhere in the world. So trending worldwide, we can already see that this is actually it matches with the list from Twitter. So that would be the end of this introduction to Tweepy, and I'll see you in the next one where we're going to use text blob. And again, so I can even write this down. So we're going to check first, how often does Elon Musk mention Tesla? And this is actually without text blob, so maybe we'll put number 6, and then number 5 would be just some simple analysis. And using text blob, what we're going to do is we're going to check how positive or negative are CNN's tweets about Trump. So let's see if this sounds like something that you would like to follow, then join me in the next video. If not, I hope that what we went through so far will be useful and that you will make use of it. If you want, you can always think of some fun projects to do with even with what we learned here. So note that we did not save any of the data into the file, we did not graph any of it, we did not use any at all analysis yet. But what we could do is, well, if we want to check what's going on with Liverpool Football Club, then what we can do is get the latest tweets, and then check where the users are coming from, and then make some analysis on where most of the fans are. Now in this case you have to of course think about the time difference. So if you're in Europe and then you're not analyzing that in the daytime, then you're probably going to miss some of the tweets that are coming from other parts of the world where most of the people are sleeping, and vice versa. But what you can of course do is, if you take a period of 24 hours, then you should have a nice estimate for the user's location, or the football fan location that tweet about Liverpool. What you can also do is check, maybe get what actually we'll go through that next, to analyze users based, only if they actually meet certain criteria. Like we would like to check the tweets only if the users have at least 100 followers, or at least 200 followers, or at least 500 tweets, and so on. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, then I'm looking forward to explaining that to you in the next video.